from Spotify, and that is Tujiangalie by Sauti Soul featuring Nyashinsky. Add it to your playlist. It helps the artist, and listen in, and also share. And if you are just coming in, this is the In All Honesty podcast on our TBC radio show, coming to you every Monday morning from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on Instagram Live with yours truly, Olive Orao. And today we were doing a pulse check on the Kenyan youth. How are we genuinely doing? How are you? How are you? Just tell me how you're doing. So in our first hour, we've discussed this at length. We've talked about the death of the Kasipul MP. Have we lost empathy? Are we not sympathizing with people anymore? Even the family of the person who has died, as well as Kasmuel and Morara Kebaso and their, what is it called? Alternative Alliance called Prison Break. Yeah. So we've talked about all of that in the first hour. If you want to catch it, you've missed the live action. Do not worry. Go to buyolive.com. The link should be in my bio. In the podcast page, you should find options, whether you want to stream this second hour of the podcast, and you can find it where you usually find your podcasts. That could be on AfriPods, on Spotify, on Castbox, on Amazon Music. So wherever you want to get your podcast, you can find this second hour. But also, if you want to catch the full entire show, unadulterated, unedited, completely raw, you can find it on biolive.com. You can buy it for 75 Kenyan shillings. That is the audio. If you want to get the audio, fine. But if you want the video, you can subscribe to our YouTube membership for only 322 Kenyan shillings. That's $2.45. And you'll get every other episode every other month, right? So we are talking about the things that are happening in this country, and how, we're checking up on each other. We're definitely checking up on each other. When the George was saying LGBTQ, I haven't cooked in a while, but I might. Good morning. How are you doing? Tell me how you're doing. Are you guys feeling tired? Do you feel like kuchoka? Tangu 2024, we haven't caught a break. We haven't rested. Something is always happening. Kama si femicide ni Kasmuel, kama si Kasmuel ni Morara, kama si Morara ni MP, wasijui wapi amefanya nini. There's always something to deal with. And I can understand if you are feeling exhausted and you just don't know what to do. As we've said in the first hour, there's a level of anger. We have so much pent-up anger, and it's alongside hopelessness as well. Like nimejam, but also sanitadu, So just tell me how you're doing. Tell me how you feel generally about the state of the country. How do you feel about the death of the MP of Kasipul, who, once he died, people were just like, they reiterated Bashir's comment over and over again. People get killed all the time. We sympathize and we move on. But I think when Bashir said that, he didn't consider that people who get killed would be people of his political class. So after that, then he realizes, oh, wait a minute, or maybe the political class realizes, then we have to look out for ourselves. Because sometimes when you're just out there spewing statements the way you want, to you, people who are dying over there, it's not you guys. So maybe the death of Kasipul MP also did something there, and also Morara Kebaso and Kasmuel Morara joining hands to form an alliance for the youth, as Esperance has probably suggested in the first hour. Yes, if we need people to join, if we need people on the inside, we'll have to send the youth, even if it's the traitors. They have the closest, they have proximity to whatever it is that we're already targeting. So is that something that we're willing to do? 247 crochets, you say, Eti prison break. They can as well call it escape from soap. Escape from Superbowl. Oh my goodness. 247 crochets. I'm honestly tired. I get it. I really do. Waliita prison break. Like in SSI, you guys have to decide. You'll genuinely have to decide. If we need people on the inside, Speran said we need at least 10 youth, it will create like a shift. But if those 10 youth, the easiest who can get there are already the ones that you're calling traitors, that's a decision you have to make. And also, how will you take on the current political class if you don't have an organized group? That is another question that has come up. But you can tell me how you feel generally about the country. I said, we'll go through our thoughts and analysis again. So I generally said, we are tired. We didn't take a break from 2024. There's a lot that happened in 2024. And we sort of just moved on. And I don't think we're okay like that, genuinely. I genuinely do not think we are okay like that. We're going through a lot. So you can tell me. Here we don't have a confession today. Usually the second hour has confessions, but I found a thread online, and that's what I'm going to read through. And you're just going to tell me your thoughts as they come through. You tell me. Just type them here and tell me what you're thinking, or if it triggers something, or even you yourself. Able to patia update here how you're doing this year, because we didn't rest. We've just got into 2025 now. 2025 is our year. We are manifesting. We are going to be rich. We are going to do this. And we've said Kenyans and escapism. Hapo tumesomea hadi PhD. We're just not going to deal with it. We're just going to avoid it and move on. We've talked about how 2007 is like it never happened, but it literally is the war that we were seeing in Rwanda with the Hutu and the Tutsi. If you look at the wars going on in Congo, the ethnic clashes, very similar to 2007, 2008. The Biafra wars in Nigeria. Definitely 2007, 2008 post-election violence for Kenya. But for us, we don't document that shit. We don't talk about it. We're just like, it'll happen. Can we forgive each other and move on, please, guys? So this is a thread that I found online, and we can just basically bounce our thoughts off it. So this first person said, the politicians know how to get into someone's nerves. That foolish senator proposing 7-year term limits is claiming that 60% are in support, while 40% are against it. Kwani hawa watu hutuona mafala aje? It's high time we sweep the country clean. We should have another mega maandamano and ensure the hypocritic Zakayo and his fellow felons leave our country. They should be just jailed. It's very wishful thinking. I think it's very wishful thinking. Nilisema, what usually grinds my gears is people insulting my intelligence. And you see, that's what this person is saying. Kwani hao watu hutuona mafala aje? You know, so someone, the foolish senator proposing 7-year term limits is claiming that 60% are in support. You know, you sit down and you're just like, 60% of these people who'd like to gain more, even them that like to be on that seat. Okay. Anyway, ni ile tu kubebwa ufala, yani you're like, guys, you find another way to lie to me, or just don't lie. Or put some effort in your lies. Make it believable. I think that's something that this brings up. And also, this person says we need to sweep the country clean. We need to get rid of the felons, the Zakayo, and all of that. Sweep the country. They should get jailed. How do we do that? Just tell us how we can do that, right? And then someone else replied on the thread and said, maandamano fell off badly. I've come to terms that 25th won't happen again. Sai watu wali give up, wanaomba Ruto na watu wake wakufe. For many people, ilikuwa tu euphoria. And that is true. It almost seems like something that just happened and then we moved forward. And I think this is something we've talked about in the first hour, where after that, then what? Okay, yeah. Tulienda maandamano, tulipigana, wengine wetu waliuliwa, wengine wetu waliumizwa. And then now we've just like sort of moved into a space for we are hustling and we've just gone back to normal grind. Yeah. Is there continuation? Are we looking at sustenance for any of this? Is there any continuation ever for what happened in 2024? Or is it just something that happened like a birthday? Ilikuwa tu birthday, tulienda mahali tukakula cake, tukatoka. Now we just remember it as a memory, as a nice memory. And then someone said, it's the killings that is keeping people away. That is very true. We are scared. Because it is not even fair for the families of the people we lost at the maandamano. They were very young. They had their whole future ahead of them. It was very premature death. And I can understand that while we're going out for maandamano, we also understand that we're dealing with a tyrant who does not give a shit in the world. This man, if he has to clear this country and start over, he will. He can itabidi ajizalie citizens. He can. You don't know who you are dealing with. So there's also that level of, we can't go to the streets knowing that this is someone who's not scared of sweeping all of us. Kama anaweza funika tu hivi na bullets hiyo town mzima, yenu ishe, he would. Mbona mnamsumbua akili, right? So I think that is something that we held back from. There's a level of getting scared. Even me, I was scared. I was going to the maandamano, but I was keeping corners. I am very aware. Unaangalia polisi, unaangalia tear gas, unaangalia nini. You can't get too close to places where you're exposed to a bullet. So at the end of the day, yes, there's some level of getting scared. I don't want to die. I think I don't want to die. Yeah. And another person on the thread now replied, Kenyans lack matayadom. Bila hiyo, hakuna mahali tunaenda. Forget change. Are you willing to be a martyr? Can you die? Can you die for your country? Very important question. And I remember last year during Mandamano, there is someone, I don't know what his username is. It's someone who does a lot of political awareness activist content, but he's not from Kenya. He's from another country. So he stated the countries that have had revolutions, and he asked, it was right smack in the middle of the Mandamano. And I remember seeing that video, and he asked, Kenyans, what you're doing is really, really good. But are you willing to go to the full extent it takes to get a revolution? Because there's usually sacrifice, and a lot of times sacrifice is human life. When there's a revolution, the sacrifice is human life. And when this person says we don't have a spirit of martyrdom, yes, that's true. For as long as we want to do this safely, it won't happen. We are dealing with a very aggressive, abrasive reign of terror. Like, that's what the political class is. That's what the capitalist system is set as. It is very aggressive, and they'll come for blood if they need to come for blood. But are we willing to give blood here and there so that we get to the end, right? So that is something we have to think about. And even if we say, okay, fine, we can lose a couple of lives so long as we achieve what we want, are we sure we'll achieve it? Because also, I feel it is also quite disrespectful. I'm thinking in my sense, it is quite disrespectful. The people who died in the Maandamano last year, if right now they're looking at us, they're just like, yani nilikufa bure. I died for nothing. So it would make more sense if we are willing to give up lives, but then the country achieves something. The youth achieves something at the end of the day. But if we're in this space where it's a push and pull, we are not sure. And as I've said in the first, when we were doing the thoughts and analysis, as I've said in the first hour, we are known to be very loud. We bark a lot. We are the dogs that bark the loudest, but we're also toothless. And our politicians know this. They know wataongea tu wata. And you can see even the air of which Kasongo went to that interview. Do you remember the round table? When Kasongo went to the round table, and this man was just like, you see how kids could be playing, and you're just like, watamaliza wata, they'll sleep, you know. They can't take you seriously because there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do. But also, I see how Kenyans for so many years were thought to be so toothless that there wasn't any thought put into the first Maandamano. You remember the first Maandamano? Was it the 18th of June? Yes, on the 18th of June, that Maandamano where now everyone in the country came out. There wasn't as many police. There wasn't as many, basically just the defense that they usually put up. There wasn't as many of that because they know every time Kenyans are out fighting for something, it's a couple of activists. They go to the streets, they get arrested, they'll get bailed out. That is how it has been for a number of years. Because that's what happened even for what's her name, the Shorefo Trees. Do you remember Shorefo Trees? Anyway, yeah, that's what happened even during their time, and that was a while back. So it was always, we knew when people are fighting for something, it's just a handful of people who show up, and then they can get roughed up by police, they can get arrested, and then the cycle will continue. In a couple of days again, will show up. So I don't think they even put out that much machinery on the 18th because they thought, sasa watu wa maandamano, ni maandamano ngapi hatujaona. So when people came out in numbers, it was a shocker. It was a huge shocker for, I guess, Kasongo and the political class. That they hadn't expected. But also, even with that, you see how easily after that, we just went back quiet and we sat back and we became the good children that we usually are. Yes, Wangari Maathai, thank you. That name had completely refused. Wangari Maathai. So I don't know if we are willing to sacrifice lives because we know that's what it takes for a revolution. But also, if I sacrifice my life, you better get what you wanted. You better get what you... I do not want to die for free. No. I beg. In the line of a particular cause. So that's why I feel even sometimes we still need to continue for the people who lost their lives last year. Let us try and fight so that it is not in vain that blood was shed. Honestly, it's disrespectful. It's disrespectful for someone to have come out of home, a young guy, gone to make noise for a change in the country because there's nothing to lose. You know, during the Maandamano, a lot of young people kept saying, I'm here because there's nothing to lose. Hata nikikufa, what am I going, like, if I don't die here, what am I going back home to? Joblessness, no food, no roof over my head. Like, there's nothing to live for. And so that is why people came out in numbers like that, because there was a level of hopelessness. But now, I hope we can get back. The Don Mario saying at Shorefo Trees, pinch yourself. I remember Shorefo Trees, I couldn't remember the name. Yes, it was Wangari Maathai. Even them, during their time, the activists were just a handful. Like, Wangari Maathai were really humiliated. It was always just a handful of people. So right now, seeing the Mandamano to the extent it went to last year was really beautiful, but we would love some sustenance. And then on the same thread, someone else said, no, it's not killings. People need something specific to rally around. That time, it was the finance bill. Do you think this is true? I was actually torn apart with this particular statement on this thread. Is it true that we need something to rally around? We can't just do it for the sake of it. Like at that time, we had finance bill, right? Akina Wangari Maathai, who had been arrested, someone had been arrested and they were demanding for for them to be released. So there's usually something that now triggers for you to come out in numbers and demand for particular things. I don't know how this is. I don't know how true this is. Can we not say we are just angry to make a sirika? And our anger has all coincided on one day. Not to metokea. So I don't know about that. I'd like to know your thoughts on that. Do you think we need something to rally around for us to show up? And if that's the case, haven't we had so many things already? Haven't we had so many things to rally around? I don't know if there was a femicide. Was there a femicide this year? No, that was last year. Yeah, that was last year. There was a femicide. There was a femicide march. There wasn't a femicide march this year. That was last year. This year we've had echoes of war, which also brought a whole thing, which is crazy. We've also had it on another podcast. A few episodes back, you'll find it. You'll find it. We discussed echoes of war and how basically the government is just using tyranny to rule. And by the way, we're exhausted. I asked, how are you doing? Me, I'm exhausted. Mentally and emotionally, I'm exhausted in this country. Esperance girl, you are saying we are not angry enough. And this is something we kept on saying last year before the Mandamano came on. And it said we're not angry enough. And even if we are angry, yes, we're not angry enough. Yes, we're not angry enough. That's just the statement. That's the given statement. Because if you are angry enough, you remember the question that person was asking, Kenyans, do you have what it takes? Will you see it to the end if you want a revolution? If we were angry enough, have you ever been blinded by anger? It doesn't even matter if that thing compromises your own life. You're coming for it. You're coming for it. So it makes sense. We are not angry enough. And when we'll be angry enough, bloodshed, loss of lives will not be a factor. You will go and you will go and you will get that thing. It doesn't matter whether you will die on the way. You will go and get it. So yeah, Esperance girl, you continue to say, remember the Arab Spring. When people are angry enough, anything will trigger people. Yes. Yes. Hata ingekuwa tu huyu mwenye alisema we sympathize. If we were angry, I think Kenyans, I don't know if we just forget. Is it that we forget? Or we just like to avoid? We are avoidance. Kenyans were the manipulative boyfriend. We just be avoiding that. It didn't happen. I beg, let's look at the next one. And the next one, when we get to it, we don't want to relate it to the last one. We want it to be a fresh and new. I beg. Anyway. The person who talked last on this thread said, but there are like 1,000 things to rally around. Esperance, you agree? The government used terror and fear and it worked. Then they went for the other two Gen Z principles, leaderless and tribeless. You can even notice the tribalism being pushed on Twitter. That's 100% government working. Hey, hapo ndo pia waliwakujia. And that is what we've even said in this podcast. How do you expect to fight a particular class without an organized group? You will need an organized group, and that is the other dilemma. Do we send in an organized group? Do we send in a couple of us, the youth, the representation, even if it's the traitors, because they have the closest proximity to getting in? Do we send them, or do we just continue fighting this war without knowing how exactly we're going to overturn this system, right? So it's a dilemma we're in. But it is what it is. If you are just coming in, this is the In All Honesty podcast on our TBC radio show, coming to you every Monday morning from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on Instagram Live with you as truly Oliver Rao. And today we're doing a pulse check on Kenyan youth. How are you doing? How are you genuinely doing? After 2024, a lot happened. And we are here just trying. Right? And some of the things that brought this conversation to light, was the death of Kasipul MP, Charles Ongondo. And there was a lot of insensitivity around it, where people were just like, they kept on reiterating what MP Bashir had said just a couple of days before Charles was shot. And he said a lot of people get killed every day, and we sympathize and we move on. And sort of people kept saying that around the Kasipul MP's death. It was just like people die and we move on. And we've realized sometimes when the political class is spewing some of this hate and some of these comments that are insensitive, to them, the people who get killed are over there. They don't realize those people are could be them. So when it occurred to them, wait, even me I can get killed, and they will sympathize and move. Wait, ngoja guys, ngoja, wacha nionge. So there's that as well. People were very insensitive around his death, and I can understand that people are so angry at the political class that the death of any one of them could actually make you happy. You would be just like, I end a good riddance, yeah? So there was that where we were asking, did we lose a part of us last year? And we had some, what is it called? We had feedback from a comment on TikTok where Chef Yankee said, we have gradually lost our connection to the source over the century from generation to generation. We are drastically drifting from being humans to a superior species of wild animals. So with time, we're just losing empathy and sympathy. And it is okay if we're losing empathy and if you're losing empathy for, say, the political class. But I think where it's scary is that we are losing this for the people around us as well. It would have been okay where we're like, it's us, all of us, against the political class. But when we ourselves start turning on ourselves as well, because we're seeing a lot of insensitivity amongst us, that becomes a problem. That becomes a problem again. So did we lose? Is there a part of us that died last year, 2024, when we were trying to fight, when we realized, we'll get into the thoughts and analysis, we go through them very fast before we close the episode. But yeah, that was one of the things where it was like, okay, this death of Kasipul MP really brought to light that people don't give a shit. You die and go. Go. But also, there were statements like he lived by the sword, he died by the sword. Now, I do not have tea on Kasipul MP. Please, if anyone has tea, let me know. Because everyone, this is like, okay, it's not a fika apple. But do you remember when Biwott died? There was no ounce of grief in the entire country. We're like, hey, Mungu amechukua huyo finally. Hey, itoshe, yeah? Yes, so there was that level of, there's nothing, like if you died, even better, we don't need you here. So that insensitivity, what is it? Is there something we lost? As well as Kasmuel and Morara, who have joined hands to create the alternative alliance called Prison Break. They claim they are pursuing other positions, including the presidency, and they even have a manifesto, which sounds exactly like the manifestos we've had before. Whatever they were talking about in that media address, or whatever it is they were talking, wherever it is they were talking, telling us about this alliance, they sounded exactly like the politicians before them. And that is something we've also discussed in this podcast. If we are to send people in, guys, do we send the ones who have proximity already? It will do us good to have a representation of us inside, whether or not they're our traitors or not. And it's a difficult one. It's a dilemma. But tell me what you think. I'll go through our thoughts and analysis one last time, and then we can close up the show and call it a day. One thing I said here is that 2024 made us realize how greedy our political class is. I think we've always known politicians are greedy. But in 2024 is when it occurred to us, oh, by the way, they don't give a shit. They really do not give a shit. And whether it's bloodshed or whatever, their stomachs first. People were paid to vote yes for that finance bill. A finance bill that was ridiculous. Yani hata ukiwa mtoto wa class 2 utasoma finance bill ujiulize, jamani, hata kama upendi watu una lead. Yeah? And you can imagine for people to be bought, for you to be given kidogo money, for you to vote towards, in support of the finance bill. And it's like people are just taking care of themselves. There's a book I read, and I don't read. It's a very small book. If I remember it, I'll share it at some point. There's a small book I read where it was an escapee from Congo who had come to Kenya. Now, once the war began, they escaped from Congo and came to Kenya. But you can see, literally the entire idea was them, they were kids of a prominent person. So they can just flee to another country and settle. And you can see in the Half of a Yellow Sun by Chimamanda Ngozi as well, in the Biafra wars, the affluent community didn't really care. They were like, oh, war is coming. Okay, we're going to book chartered flights and fly out of the country, and we're going to stay in Europe or whatever until it comes down, and then we'll come back to rebuild the country. So that's what the political class is looking at. They're just looking at me. I want to secure myself. If it's at the expense of the rest of you, y'all can go to hell. Okay. The Don Mario saying the finance bill that would affect even those very yes men. So damn. I think they didn't. I think there's a lot of short-sightedness with politicians, and to them it's just like hoard money, hoard wealth. And for them is when the country goes to the pits, we'll relocate to another country. And I'm seeing now it's a shared thought process across African countries and not so much Kenya only, where someone is like, me, I'm gonna get my money. Huku kukizoka, me, I'm out. So I think that's what they're looking at. Yes, the finance bill will affect them, but if they have enough money, they can just move to another country and continue with life like nothing happened. They get themselves a day job, na ile pesa yenye alipata Kenya imemtosha kujiset up yeye na familia yake, and they move on, right? Esperance Girl, you're saying it's an us versus them affair. Yeah. And I hope we remember that, because sometimes kidogo, what is it called? Kidogo distraction, we start fighting amongst ourselves. No, do not lose the plot. Do not lose the plot. I think is it Nigeria? Is it Nigeria? I think it was a Nigerian who was telling me, like, Nigerians, we fight a lot amongst ourselves, but if someone from outside tries to, I beg, we now unite. During this time, we need to unite against this other person. So I hope Kenyans remember that. Yes, amongst ourselves, we don't agree. It's like siblings. Amongst ourselves, we don't agree. But if someone dares come at and insult one of us, now it's time to unite and fight the alien, right? So I hope that's the approach we take. We always remember, no, we don't let someone from outside cause a rift within us. Even during Esperance Girl, you're saying, even during the funeral of Kasipul MP, one Kaluma Opondo said they gathered and learned that one of us has been shot. Right? When they're out here saying people die, people do this, it's normal, it never occurs to them that the person who might die is you. And once people realize how something is close to them, then there's a whole new reality that comes to life for them, and they just do not know what to do at this point. And, oh yeah, me selfish people, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say, I beg. Selfish people, it's a lot. If you do things always thinking it's over there, it's never here, I don't know what to tell you. I genuinely do not know what to tell you, because it's utter stupidity. There is no other way of thinking about it. It's utter stupidity. Life does not choose who it happens to and who it doesn't. But anyway, another thought that we have here is, it is now evident that even the bloodshed and death, even with the bloodshed and death, some people were just using maandamano as a means to a certain goal. And of course, we saw Kasmuel as a perfect example for that. But also in the first hour, we've said, as much as, yes, Kasmuel betrayed you and all of that, but Kasmuel did not owe you any sort of loyalty. And no one does, by the way. When we say we are fighting a particular war, we only hope that you're with us, and we only hope that you see whatever we are fighting for will benefit you as well. But we can't say you owe it to us. It's not an obligation to stay with us, to stay with the cause, right? And if I choose to take up something that sets me well for my future or for my life, I'm sorry, but I don't owe you much. And I think I would even go ahead as much as to say something very insensitive, in the sense that, can you imagine, like we've said, can you imagine someone who died last year in the Mandamanos and then comes back this year and finds out that we are just chilling? So that person died for nothing. So it's the same way you can actually reason with Kasmuel as well and think, imagine if Kasmuel would have denied the offer to set himself up well, just because he's running for the cause. And then now see the cost. We're all just quiet. We've gone back to the grind. We're just trying to find an extra penny to keep up with Kasongo. Na ukikumbuka uliacha offer, bonge la offer, ili you stay with the cause. So I would understand. Like, I have a lot of, same as you, there's a lot of anger that I have towards, say, Kasmuel, but as well as I also am able to compartmentalize and see where some of it is you can't blame it on him, honestly. You can't blame it on him. And when you say you were betrayed, that's something we've talked about in the first hour. When you say you feel betrayed, what about it? What is it you had placed on him that he did not deliver? Because if you were leaderless, he was not your leader. If it was the Mandamano, he was not the face of the Mandamano. He was not, there's nothing that tied this. There's nothing, what can I say? What about Kasmuel was a key part of the entire initiative, the whole of the Mandamano? Was he not being part of the Mandamano? Without Kasmuel, would the Mandamano never have happened? Right? So even when you say traitor, what did he betray? per se? What did he betray? And also, we've mentioned, I was listening to the No Name podcast, and Eddie said, you can't claim someone is bad if you yourself have never been tested to be good, right? So if you were offered, you've not been offered, but if you were offered whatever Kasmuel has been offered, let's say, would you have taken it? We don't know. We really do not know. So it's easy for you to claim that's a traitor, but we don't know if you yourself you're a traitor. If that offer is given to you right now, are we sure you won't be like, okay, guys, let me set myself up because rent is due. And I think it's Esperance who said, at the end of the day, poverty is the enemy. At the end of the day, poverty is the enemy. But yeah, I understand. I genuinely do understand how we feel. But then again, looking at it from where he's standing, I don't owe you anything. And if he's going to join the political class, he is quite in character. He genuinely is in character. I don't owe you. I don't owe you, especially now that he's not actually an elected member of whatever. He's not a politician who we voted for to be in a particular position. You can't claim he owes you anything. The other politicians, your MP, the people you gave authority to, those ones you claim, you pay their salaries. But for others, I don't know. I don't know if they owe you. And something else, there has been no sustenance in most parts. So this is what we've talked about. The civic education is not continuing. The activism is not continuing. Political awareness is not continuing. It all just ended. And towards December, there was just this level of, there's nothing going on. There's nothing going on anymore. It was like Mandamano was such a distant thought in history. And we just move on. And Kenyans were very good at moving on. Avoiding and moving on. We are the avoidant boyfriend, the avoidant nonchalant boyfriend. So that is one thing that we also need to see. There was no sustenance. And I think I am guilty of it. After the Mandamano, I think I try and share a few things here and there. I think I have conversations, but I'm not having a conversation like the one we are having today, where it's very radical. Like, guys, we need to change this and this and that. These are all conversations we were having almost every day during that period last year. But it all just sort of like settled down and we just went back to our normal lives. So do we want to pick that up again and keep at it? And I know we are tired, and that is why I asked you, can we rest? Can we catch a break and rest? Heal our mental, not heal per se, but just rest so that our brains and our souls have the capacity to try again. We didn't rest. We just went into the new year like, it's my year. We try again. Mandamano is coming. June is coming again. We will do it again. Yeah. Take a day. Go touch grass. Switch off your phone. Rest and then come back. We continue with the fight. The Don Mario saying, yeah, for Kasmuel, it's yet to be seen. It isn't looking good for him so far, but you are right. He doesn't owe anybody anything. And as much as it's not looking good for Kasmuel, as I've said, Kenyans, we have Stockholm syndrome. Because the way we love our abusers doesn't make sense. So I won't be surprised, even with every move Kasmuel and Morara have pulled, those are the people that people will entrust now with authority. Because we have seen it with I gave an example of Waiguru. Waiguru came straight off a corruption scandal into a political seat, an elected political seat. And, my lord, Atandi Tattoo on TikTok said, this girl, what's her name? This girl who has been conning people with jobs in Doha, she will come out of prison or jail and come back and vie for a position in her hometown. And she'll be given. You just have popularity. Just be famous. It doesn't matter for what, you just be famous. Kenyans will give you a political seat. Esperance, you are saying, let's rest after rejecting Finance Bill 2025. Or as Kenyans, we rest in heaven. Huku kila siku ni kimbi kimbi. I understand. Tutapumzika baadaye. But I would urge you to disconnect every once in a while. I'm not saying rest ati pumzikeni mlale kabisa. I'm just saying take a day out of the norm and rest, disconnect kidogo tu. Because if you don't, your body will take a time for you to rest. It will pick a random time. And usually your body picks the most inconvenient time ever. Utaanguka tu hapo tukiwa maandamano. And then, so make sure you pace yourself. Yes, there's always the fighting, but if you can, Saturday hivi, you disconnect completely, you rest, cook nice food, eat, just disconnect kidogo. I'm not saying that we all now sit back and not do anything. We do all these things. And even after you've rested kidogo, usually, I don't know if other people feel this, especially if you're working an 8 to 5. If you've rested kidogo, when you come back, you usually have this new zeal. You have this new energy where you can do things. And even your mind is less cluttered for you to see how to approach different things. So I would say catch a break here and there. Like, just take care of yourself. That's basically what I'm saying. Take care of yourself, because we need you. We need your body. We need your brains. We need all of you to still fight the fight. And there's a lot of pent-up anger mixed with hopelessness. That's something we've talked about. There's definitely a lot of pent-up anger. Tumekasirika tu. And a lot of times mkisikia mmekasirika mnatoleaga Kasmuel. Yani ni Kasmuel. And we've said Kasmuel is an easy escape for anger, when this anger is for many people. Like, there's a whole political class that we are angry with. We are angry with Kasongo. Even Morara Kebaso was standing right next to Kasmuel, but Kasmuel still received majority of the heat. He's an easy target for your anger. But genuinely, there's a lot more people who should be receiving your anger. Your anger should be spread out. Even your local MP, your local MCA. I understand things are not working where you're at, but every time it's just like, tulitoka kwa, I blame Kasongo to I blame Kaswell. So at the end of the day, I see there's a lot of anger, and also there's a lot of hopelessness where yes, I'm angry, but where do I take this anger? There's nowhere to move. I still need to pay rent. I still need to eat. What to do? It seems like fighting the political class or overturning the regime is such a huge task. So there's a level of hopelessness alongside the anger, and I understand it. I don't know how we'll navigate it. I am just hoping we'll get there at some point. And more people are losing empathy, and soon even sympathy. Will be scared. Even sympathy will be scarce. Okay, especially towards political and capitalist aligned people, which I'm not mad at. If someone is very again, I'll use the statement: if you live by the sword, you die by the sword. If you are very selfish, if you only cared for yourself, if you were greedy, all you ever did was just find and take for yourself. When something finally catches up with you, don't expect us to now reason with you, have empathy, waste our sympathy on you. So I genuinely would understand us losing empathy, but I would like for that to happen with moderation. Can we not lose empathy amongst ourselves? If your neighbor next door is going through something, come through for them. Let us stay unified in this whatever that's happening here. But let's unite to fight that political class, right? So while we're losing empathy, while we don't care for some people within ourselves, let's make sure we are taking care of ourselves, because we need each other. We need each other for that collective to fight, right? And we are all feeling exhausted mentally, and the world isn't stopping for us to rest. Hata Esperanza amesema tutapumzika mbinguni. Rest is for the dead. They say rest in peace, right? So yes, the world isn't stopping. When something happens to you, you realize other people are moving on. Even us as Kenyans, whatever happened, but life is continuing. The Americans are fighting their own wars. Congo is fighting its own war. The Nigerians are struggling with their Tinubu. Everyone, life moves on. No one stops to now take care of you or to see what's happening with you. So you only have yourselves. And in this case, when I say yourself, it's Kenya. So you only have yourselves to take care of yourselves. And the political class know we are just loud but toothless. We never bite. So they will keep playing in our faces. For as long as they do not see the repercussions of playing with us, they know. They know, the political class knows. Kenyans are loud. KOT, the first body. But they don't bite. They don't bite, I beg. Last year, you even killed a couple of their friends in the Maandamano, point blank. That documentary was crazy, because how are you aiming directly to someone who's not even armed? And they know, yes, this will happen. You will create all the documentaries. Kwani when you want create a documentary? They know that. They know Kenyans will always move. They'll move past anything. They'll make noise and then they'll move. Kenyans won't bite. They just bark. So is that a narrative we want to change? I would really advise we do. And if that's something we want to look into, let's see. But for now, let's see if we can rest kidogo. Not rest per se, but if you can catch a break here and there. So even organize it with your friends. Even sometimes tell your friends, able to meet on Saturday. We just if we are grilling meat, we just do something away from the fight. And then the next day on Sunday, we come back and we're like, oh, so this bill was tabled. Let's talk about it. Civic education, people who understand the bills, like whatever we were doing during the Maandamano that entire time, let's get back to it. I hope we find a new sense of zeal to fight again. And this time I know they're waiting for us. So you must know that death is impending. If we're going to go to the streets for 2025 finance bill, death is impending because, as we've said, we're dealing with a regime that won't hesitate to sweep all of you and start a new country. Kama ni kujizalia, watoto atajizalia anzishe country mpya. Nyinyi amemsumbui. So we're going into the fight knowing that there's a lot to lose. There's a lot at play. I said I'll finally get to the psychoanalysis for the Mic Check podcast where Kasmuel came on as a guest. I think that will be able to put out a lot of the points that I'm trying to put across. But today I just wanted to check up on you. How are you genuinely doing? We've had a 2-hour show as usual, and it's a good time. It's a good time always. And we've just talked about where we are at as a country, where we feel like we're going to go to. We've presented some thoughts here and there. But at the end of the day, no one has the answers. I don't have the answers. Esperance doesn't have the answers. We're just trying. But let's see what's the best way that we can even improve. We can get a foot in. We can try, because a change is needed. Genuinely, a change is needed. And are we willing to go the entire way? Are we willing to sacrifice that much for us to get there? So that's a question you keep asking yourself, and we continue. And in your own, I think I said this in the episode for femicide, whatever you're doing in your own small space, that's more than enough. It honestly helps. Don't feel like something you're doing is too small. You see, like coming here on the podcast and joining the conversation and airing out your thoughts, that is good. It's good it serves the cause, okay? If you're somewhere, you find someone is talking a particular type of way and you tell them, no, the bill says this and that, that's good. That's good. You like it. It's serving the cause. If you're around people, you mobilize them. Guys, let's think about this. This happened yesterday in Parliament. What do you guys think? That's good. Whatever you're doing, no matter how small it feels at that time, it serves the cause. It serves the cause, okay? So don't ever feel like anything you're doing is too small. So long as you're creating awareness, so long as you're provoking people to think about particular things, so long as you're reminding people to always think they want change and how they can effect change, in whatever way you're doing it, even if you're just I remember our teacher back in primary school is the one who used to tell us things about Moi, and we didn't understand, but you can see how that shapes your mind. And later on in life, when I look back, I realized I understood the capitalist system because of the things that he was saying. So sometimes in your role kidogo, you can teach your kids fun things about the politics in some way. Open people's eyes. Talk to your parents. Talk to older people. What are they up to? What are they thinking about particular things? Give them give them a contrast of their thoughts so that they have something to compare to. Whatever it is you're doing in your own small space is more than enough. More than enough. So don't ever feel like whatever you're doing is not enough. You don't need to be in the streets. You don't need to be holding placards. You don't need to be on Twitter Space. Whatever you're doing in your own small space, you are serving the cause. So don't always feel like you're not doing enough. And when you can't join those spaces, when you can't join the mandamanos, when you can't join the Twitter Spaces, when you can't do the rest of the things that we are doing now out loud, but in your own little space, I think I'm even proud of myself for holding these conversations on my podcast. I think I'm doing that much. I am contributing to the cause. Winnie Nzuve, you are saying, hey, what happened to your side, your Spotify? Wait, what side, your Spotify, please? Hey, Winnie, please tell me what happened side your Spotify. You want to suggest songs that tutafunga nayo show. It's about time we're closing the show. If you are just joining, don't worry, you'll find the episodes from tomorrow onwards. This is the In All Honesty podcast on our TBC radio show, coming to you live every Monday morning from 7 to 9 a.m. on Instagram Live with yours truly, Oliver Rao. Today we were doing a pulse check on Kenyan youth. How are we generally doing as a country? And tujue tu. No more podcasts for Spotify. There is the In All Honesty podcast. There's episodes as recently as last week. Yeah, last week it got up. You are not finding my podcast on Spotify? Ebu niende niangalie. But yes, we have the podcast on Spotify, and with that, I'll actually tell you where to get it. So from tomorrow onwards, if you want to stream the second hour of the podcast, which is this one we are closing on, you can find it where you usually find your podcast episodes. That is on Spotify, on Amazon Music, on AfriPods, on Castbox. You can always find where you get your podcast. Generally, you'll find this podcast and you can get to listen to it. But this show is 2 hours long. So if you want the full 2 hours, unadulterated and edited, please check buyolive.com. The link is in my bio, and you can buy an episode for only 75 Kenyan shillings. That's the full episode. And if you want to always get the episodes without always checking and buying, you can go to Spotify. No, sorry, not Spotify, YouTube. On YouTube, if you pay our membership for 322 Kenyan shillings, you should get the full episodes every other week. So you'll have access to all the full episodes for 2 hours. But for the second hour, you have it even on YouTube, by the way. You also have it on YouTube. So usijali, I got you. And remember, before we close up, there's opportunities for advertising on this podcast. If you'd like to advertise on the In All Honesty podcast, please reach out to me. WhatsApp +254-728-171. And if it's on email, that is mail@buyolive.com. And you can also just hit the link in my bio. You'll find everything there. I said your website. Okay, sikia nimemention kitu hapa. Unaenda unaangalia website, hautaikosa. You will always find it there. Okay? That brings us to the end of our podcast episode today. And thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate it. We started the episode with Jaguar because I'll repeat it. I saw a TikTok thread where someone was talking. I don't know if you've seen the trend where it goes, "That was rude. That was pretty fucking rude," right? So on one of those trends, I saw someone who had said it was rude of the doctor to have kept their dad on the life support machine when he had died a while back. He was just collecting money. And I was like, wait, Jaguar was way ahead of his time with that song at the time. So Jaguar is not on Spotify. You can't add his music on Spotify, but I am getting it from YouTube. And I think I'll close the show with it again. And thank you so much for joining. I hope you find some time to rest, and I hope you find renewed energy to fight for the country again. And I guess I'll catch you next Monday. Again, same time, same place, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Instagram Live. And if you've missed the live action, yes, it's going to be up tomorrow on our streaming sites and on Buy Olive for you to either get the full episode or stream the second hour of the show. With that, my fabulous name is Oliver.